مبادرة الأيام الرقمية هي مبادرة من جوجل لتسهيل فرص التعلم وتوصيلها لكل الناس. تمتد المبادرة من شهر مارس وحتى شهر أكتوبر. نتناول فيها عناوين جديدة أسبوعيا مثل كلاود، ذا ويب، أندرويد، فلوتر and ML، مقسمة إلى دورات وورشات عمل يومية، بالإضافة إلى مسابقات أسبوعية وفرص للفوز بجوجل هوم ميني وغيرها من الهدايا التشجيعية. كل هذا استعدادا إلى تحديات أقوى في أسابيع الهاكاثونات في المواضيع المختلفة. شاهد الدورات التدريبية من مبادرة الأيام الرقمية من جوجل مباشرة، وشارك رأيك وأسئلتك مباشرة مع خبراء جوجل. هذا وأكثر من الأحد إلى الخميس من الساعة 8 بتوقيت دبي على اليوتيوب عبر الرابط المبين.
Hi, I'm Daniel White, engineering lead for the new Google Play console. Our teams have been hard at work rebuilding the console from the ground up, and it's hugely rewarding to finally see it in the hands of our users and to hear your thoughts on what we have built. In this session, I'll be covering how the new Play console is easier to use, better at getting you the information you need, more insightful about your performance, and better suited to managing large teams. Play console is the center of the Google Play developer community. Over time, it has grown to serve over 900,000 individuals each month, from hobbyists to large companies with hundreds of console users. That growth gave us an opportunity to not just expand Play console, but to step back and redesign it for the problems faced by you, the modern Android developer. Let's dive in and explore the new console. The most striking change is how the new console looks and feels. We've given it a modern interface in the Google Material design language, which makes the experience much cleaner and more similar to other Google products. It also gives you more space on large screens, as well as more flexibility in how your data is displayed. When we tested this new design with hundreds of Play developers, they told us they liked it for its clarity, cleanliness, and the ease of finding the right information on the page. And we hope you do too. Because Google Material is a design language that was designed to adapt to a variety of devices, the new Play console will now work well whether you load it on a phone or a 4K dashboard screen. And it's been designed to be accessible from the start, because we want Play console to be ready to use no matter your individual needs. Along with the new visual design, we also redesigned the menu structure. After years of new features, the menus were ready for a reorganization, one that not only streamlined the list, but also took into account the changing ways you use those features. The new menu structure groups pages more naturally by their function. The release area collects all our tools for uploading and distributing your apps, reviewing your testing and production tracks, and checking how your latest updates are performing, designed with release managers in mind. Grow contains everything you need to supercharge your user acquisitions. From pre-registration to store listing experiments, it also features acquisition reporting, which has been completely redeveloped. More on that in a minute. The quality section was designed for QAs and team leads. It contains all of the signals and features that tell you how your app is performing in the wild, including both its technical performance with Android Vitals and how people feel about it through ratings and reviews. Monetize brings together Play console's setup, reporting, and optimization tools to help you grow your business through in-app purchases and subscriptions. And Policy helps you navigate how to release confidently on Google Play. I'll cover this in depth a little later in this webinar. We've also built new overviews and dashboards for many areas within the console, starting with the very first page you see, the app list. Now you can customize this page to highlight the apps that you care most about. You can pin your favorite apps from the list so that they always appear at the top of the page, then simply edit and drag and drop them into the right order for you. Once your apps are pinned, you'll be able to see summary KPIs without having to load each app's individual dashboard. The new releases overview shows you an up-to-date snapshot of your testing and production tracks, so you can quickly see which versions are being tested, by how many users, and in which countries. You will find other overviews throughout the console, such as acquisitions, vitals, financials, ratings, and reviews. Publishing your apps is one of the major areas where we really focused on making Play console more usable and easy to understand. In fact, we've made so many improvements to the publishing experience that we've recorded a whole other session about them. Check it out for a deep dive on these changes, which include more guidance when you create a new app and the ability to manage a large-scale app with multiple release tracks. You can find a link to that session in the video description. We heard that it can be difficult to keep track of the messages that Google Play sends, and that many developers wanted help discovering all of the features available within Play Console. So we put a lot of thought into collating these messages in more convenient ways. Play Console has a new policy area in the menu containing the policy status and app content pages. In the app content section, you can provide the information that Google Play needs to classify and review your app, such as your privacy policy, information about ads if you have them, and instructions on how to access restricted features in your app. On the policy status page, you can see any outstanding issues with your app and get guidance on how to resolve them. The new console inbox shows key messages sent to you from Play. Here, you can find information and reminders about policy updates, new features we've released, and any issues we found in your apps or with your account. To make it easy to review, the inbox entry in your navigation shows you how many messages you have waiting, and for those of you who manage multiple apps, you can easily filter messages. We'll automatically hide messages that are no longer relevant to you, so you can focus on the most important information with each visit. But don't worry, your messages will always be available in the archive in case you want to review them. With all the new features we've added over the years, we know it can be hard to remember everything that Play Console has to offer. To help with this, we've given key pages new expandable sections with more information and links to educational pages. These new pages offer tips for how to integrate these features into your business and act as a hub for related information, including links to the Help Center, the Play Academy, and developer case studies. We've also created themed resource guides to help you see which Play Console features and best practices can help you achieve your business goals. You can visit these pages now at g.co/play/console. You don't need a Play Console account to access them, so you can share this with anyone on your team who might be interested in how Play Console can help you succeed. Across the top of every page is a new search box, which gives you a quick way to jump to any page within Play Console without having to remember where it lives in the menu or even exactly what it's called. Currently, the search results can link you to pages or Help Center content, with new results added over time as we better understand how you use this new feature. The new console offers a consistent experience wherever you analyze and report your data. Charts, tables, filters, and selectors are now handled in the same way on every page. This might sound like a small change, but in practice it makes it much easier to move between different pages and immediately understand the data being shown and how you can manipulate it. We've also made some substantial improvements to acquisition reporting. This data is only available through Play Console, and we know that interpreting it is critical to your success on the Play Store. So in addition to new dimensions like language, store listing, and reacquisition, the new acquisition reports also give you new ways to understand the relationships between your metrics and analyze the trends. For a lot more detail on the changes to acquisition reporting and statistics in the new Play Console, check out the Grow Your Audience session. Play Console also shows you a lot of data on the quality of your apps. In the new console, you'll see much better visualizations of your app ratings and the sentiment of your Play Store reviews. We have also overhauled the pre-launch report and released Android Performance Tuner and native crash symbolication. Android Performance Tuner is a new tool to help you measure your frame rate performance and graphical fidelity and to optimize between them. This will help you achieve stable frame rates at scale across the whole Android device ecosystem so you can deliver higher quality game experiences to more Android users with less effort. You can integrate the Unity plugin or do a custom integration to try it out. Another new feature, native crash symbolication, lets you upload your symbols files and your crashes and ANRs to be symbolicated in both Android Vitals and pre-launch report. This lets you debug your game stability issues more easily. This feature is available now, so you can start uploading with your next release or even your current release. We've also improved Android Vitals. As well as reviewing all pages to make sure the concepts are clear and easier to understand, it's been refocused to center on the issues we think you might want to address first. Play Console has features to help everyone on your team. from QAs to marketing managers, engineers to PMs. But not everyone needs the same access to your account. Larger developers often told us that they wanted more powerful and better features in this area, so we've significantly revamped the team management features in the new Play console. These new features can help you manage increasingly large teams, making it easy to understand which of your team members can see data or make changes across your account. The new Users and Permissions page has been redesigned in collaboration with some of our largest accounts. We heard that it wasn't always easy to understand the rights granted by certain permissions, so we use clearer names and descriptions across the board. The new Play console also makes a clearer distinction between permissions that apply to the whole account and permissions that apply to a specific app within the account. You also now have the ability to search and filter your user list so you can see which users have each permission, whose access has expired, or who can see a particular app. These changes will make it much easier to safely manage access as your team grows, so that the right people can access the right parts of Play console. These new team management features are just the beginning. We hear your requests for more advanced enterprise functionality and are already working on future improvements. The Play console beta is available now at play.google.com/console, and I'm so excited for you to give it a try. Once you do, we would love it if you could share your thoughts via the in-product feedback tool. The feedback so far has already been so valuable to guide us as we further improve the new Play console. Believe it or not, I've really only scratched the surface of the big changes we've made, so I encourage you to have a look for yourself and also watch the other sessions about the new console. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Matt, the UX designer on Google Play Console. Today, I'm going to take you through the new release management experience in the new Play Console. The original Play Console launched with just a single release track, but as your release management needs have grown, the Play Console has grown with you. These latest updates will help us to continue to scale with your needs and let you manage your releases with confidence. In this talk, I'm going to walk you through those changes so you can hit the ground running with the new Play Console. First, I'll talk about the new release navigation and how it can help with your daily workflow. And then I'm going to take you through some of the updates we've made to the features you use for your day-to-day release management. And then finally, I'll show you the new experience when setting up your app for go-to-market in the Play console. Helping you confidently release your app or game on Google Play is our top priority. So we want to make sure you understand how things will change in the new console and that you're aware of all the great new features at your disposal. So let's get started. The first thing you'll notice is that we've reorganized the navigation bar. The new Play console groups features by category to make them easier to find. Your releases are the central element of Google Play console, so we want you to be able to easily check their status. The new release overview is an improved version of the app release page in the classic console. It makes it easier to get a complete picture of your release and go-to-market activities, as well as the countries and regions your app is published in. At the top of the page, you'll find the release summary, which gives you a bird's-eye view of all your activity. It's a great way to help you quickly understand the activities shown in the releases table below. At a glance, I can already see that all my tracks are currently active, that my open testing tracks, countries and regions are synced with production, and I can also see that I'm currently running 4 closed testing tracks in a total of 134 countries and regions. We've also added more detail to help you manage your releases with more flexibility. For example, you can now see the status of every release you roll out here in the overview. This is incredibly useful to see when a release is still in review or when it's being served to your users. New filters and search in the releases overview will help you quickly find a particular release or just view a certain sets of tracks, such as closed testing. Let's say I want to check what closed tests I'm running in Japan. I'd select closed testing from the filters, which instantly shows me just the closed testing tracks. I can then search for Japan, and as we can see, there's only 1 testing track shown. From there, I can quickly jump straight to the release details. Your releases contain a lot of important information. That's why we gave release details its own page, which also gives us room for future improvements. As you look at the release details page, you can immediately see the status of my stage rollout release, and it's currently available to my testers. I can also see the percentage of users it's currently rolled out to. From here, I can also increase that percentage and update my release details. Now, I want to check some of the details of my app bundle. So I'm going to visit the detailed module. It gives a clear and readable view of all the key information about that app bundle. Now that you can view all your release details in one place, we think the release overview will become central to your release management process. Let's talk about release tracks and how you manage them in the new Play console. In addition to separating out your release details, we've also separated your release tracks into their own pages. You'll find pages for internal testing, which allows you to create and manage releases for up to 100 testers. Closed testing, which helps you get feedback on early versions of your app from trusted testers outside of your company. And open testing, which allows you to do a final quality check before your full release. And production, that exciting moment when your release is made available to all users on Google Play. We've also made some enhancements on how you use key features on your tracks to help improve your experience. When you're managing a track, it's important to focus on one step at a time. That's why we've separated your track's configuration tools into their own tabs. For most tracks, your configuration tabs are divided into 3 key sections: releases, countries and regions, and testers. To provide a clear overview and status of the track as you configure and manage it, the track summary pulls core pieces of information from each part of your configuration into one quick readable view. Find out at a glance if your track is active and serving a release, or if it's stopped and no longer serving to your users. Each time you make a change in any section of your track, the track summary will reflect that. In the Release tab, I can see my latest release, and just the same in Release Overview, I can see the status of the release, showing me that it's currently available to my testers. With each release, you'll see a set of controls. In this case, I see tools to help me promote my release. And in the new Play console, promoting your release is even more flexible. Not only can you promote upwards from closed to open through to production, but you can now also promote to other closed testing tracks. This flexibility allows for further testing options, such as setting up your own scaled testing methods before you promote to larger audiences in open and production. This allows you to use whatever process suits you. We've also improved how you manage countries and regions in your release tracks, giving you peace of mind that you won't accidentally add or remove countries or regions. For example, in this closed test, let's say my team and I decide to open up testing availability in a new country. I simply select Add Countries or Regions, and now I can see all countries that are currently not available in this track. This eliminates any risk of accidentally removing countries that are already available in my track. Now I'll just find the country I want, select it, and hit Save. Managing your testers works the same as in the classic console. You'll still use an email list or Google Groups to select your testers. And once you no longer want to continue serving builds in a track, or if you want to pause testing, select the Stop Track button in the track summary component. If you want to start using it again, just hit Resume, and the release will be available to your testers again. Now that each track has its own dedicated space, we've added a number of enhancements and familiar features to your production track. When you're ready to make your app available on Google Play, we recommend doing a staged rollout so you can catch any last-minute issues before they affect more users. And if you're ready to launch to everyone at once, you can now publish your app exactly when you want to. After your app submission is approved, you can decide when to publish your app with Managed Publishing, instead of it going live immediately after approval. And once your app is live, you can get the most up-to-date metrics about your releases for production in the release dashboard. And we've moved this dashboard to the production track to make it easier to manage the rollout and check the performance of your release. We've also added the ability to manage your countries and regions for production right from the track page. Mastering and memorizing all these features takes time. That's why we've also added a new guided setup experience to lead you through the process when you create a new app or game. We want you to feel confident that you're taking the right steps in the right order, and to know you're releasing safely by following best practices. That's why now when you create an app, we'll ask you what type of app it is. This lets us provide you with customized goals and a list of tasks to achieve them, so you can track what you've completed and what's left to do. You can find these goals on the dashboard of your new app. And as you can see, my release goal is currently locked. That's because I still need to complete my setup. And as you progress through setup, testing, and eventually publishing, Sections of the dashboard will become available to help you monitor your testing tracks and eventually your performance in Google Play. Let's take a closer look at those tasks. Clicking on a task will take you to the Play Console page where you can complete that task. And hovering over a locked task will reveal a tooltip explaining how to unlock it. Once you've completed a task, you'll see a check and a strike through to indicate it's complete, along with a task count to help you keep track of your progress. The new release management experience is now available for everyone in the Play Console beta. We can't wait for you to start enjoying the new way to manage your releases and go-to-market strategies. Give the new Play Console a try, and if you have any questions or feedback, please let us know. And thank you for being a part of the Google Play community.
Hi, I'm Ryan, engineer at Google Play. In this webinar, I'll walk you through the revamped user acquisition features in the new Play Console. Our goal is to help you grow your audience. A key way we do this is by providing access to insights that help you better understand where your users come from and how to optimize your store listing. Based on your feedback, acquisition reports now help you better monitor your app's acquisition trends over time, evaluate the impact of your marketing changes, and identify new opportunities to optimize. We'll do that in a few ways. First, by showing you a time series view of your store performance metrics, so you can see what's changing, when, and why. Second, by including new dimensions like returning users, which we know are important to your business. Third, by letting you filter multiple dimensions at the same time for a more targeted view of the data. And finally, by extending peer comparison benchmarks to all of your traffic, so you can identify more marketing opportunities. In this webinar, I'll show you how to use these features and more to make the most of the new acquisition reports in Google Play Console. Timestamps are included in the video description if you want to jump ahead. We've introduced two new pages under Store Performance in the Grow section of Play Console. First, let's look at Store Analysis. This offers a high-level view of your store performance across different dimensions, so you can decide where to investigate. To better help you monitor your store listings performance over time, we present your app store listing acquisitions in a time series view, so you don't need to toggle between cohorts like in the classic report. Acquisitions are broken down by traffic source, which is where the user came from before they visited your app store listing. These include search for users who performed a search to find your app on Google Play, explore for users who found your app from Google Play, but not from searching, and third-party referral for users who landed on your store listing directly from a link originating outside of the Play Store. We're regularly assessing how to better meet your needs as the Play Store continues to expand and evolve. So we've changed our classification of where the user came from to better align with how you measure App Store optimization changes. Google Play Search now includes users who visited your app directly from Play Store Search autocomplete app suggestions, even if they skipped the full search results page. This is in addition to users who reached your store listing from search results or saw a preview of your store listing in search results. We classify all traffic based on where the user came from before reaching your store listing, so you understand how your assets affect each experience. That means Google Play search ads are now a part of Google Play Search, since that's where the user discovered your app. Ads and other links from outside of Google Play still count as third-party referrals. You can continue to monitor these more granularly using UTM tags. Even though we no longer break out Google Ads traffic, you can still view the performance of your app campaigns directly in Google Ads. For more information about the changes to metric and traffic source definitions, click the link in the video description to visit our Help Center article. You can also click the Learn More button in Play Console for more useful resources. Next, let's focus on the updated metrics: store listing visitors, acquisitions, and conversion rate. In the following section of the dashboard, you'll see how each of these metrics is trending and a percent change, indicating whether they've gone up or down relative to the previous period. Store listing visitors are the number of users who saw your app store listing on a given day and didn't already have your app installed on any of their devices. Compared to the classic product, we've improved deduplication to better reflect how many unique opportunities you had to acquire a user. While most users will be counted once, some users will be counted multiple times if they discover your app in different ways, like a search and an offsite ad during the same day. Store listing acquisitions are the number of users who installed your app from the store listing and didn't already have your app installed on any of their devices. This number will be lower than your total number of installs, since the user who installs on 3 different devices will only be counted once. Acquisitions are only counted if the install completes shortly after the user's store listing visit. So some apps may see fewer acquisitions compared to the classic report, which included a longer period. We've made this change to better reflect the effectiveness of your store listing. So you should see stable metrics faster to support more timely marketing decisions. In the classic Play console, we heard that only counting first-time installers who never installed the app before made it challenging to evaluate your overall acquisition success. So the report now includes returning users who uninstalled your app from all of their devices before, since we appreciate they're just as important to your business as new users. Because of this change, many apps will see more total visitors or acquisitions. Lastly, the store listing conversion rate is the percentage of visitors who became acquired users by clicking the install button on your store listing. For most apps, the rate will be higher than in the classic product, based on the collective changes to visitors and acquisitions. Since all 3 metrics are related, we visualize them together to give you a better picture of what's going on. For example, if your acquisitions went down because you had fewer visitors, you should try to drive more traffic to your store listing to get more opportunities to convert. On the other hand, if acquisitions went down and visitors stayed the same, your store listing has become less effective at getting users to install, and you should update it to improve your conversion rate. Now that you know what's in the reports, let's explore ways to customize them. We listened to your feedback that you wanted to explore multiple dimensions at the same time, which is why we've added filters. You can now filter the entire page by any number of countries, languages, and app install state. App install state lets you split out new users, returning users, or both. This offers a top-level view of any segment of your audience, so you can see changes to your organic versus referral traffic, conversion rate, and more. There are more tables at the bottom of the page showing your top acquisition performers for other dimensions. From here, you can easily click to explore any dimension, like country, or specific selections, like Germany, to drill down for a more detailed view. There are even more ways to customize your report on the store listing conversion analysis page. Start by choosing the time period you want to view, which can be one of the easy-to-use presets or a custom range. You might want to examine the first few days after you updated your app's icon to see if it attracted more visitors. Or maybe you want to look at several weeks, coinciding with the marketing campaign, to see if that increased acquisitions. Next, pick which of the 8 different dimensions you want to view by. We've already talked about traffic source and country, along with new options for language and app install state. Other popular choices include terms users search for to find your app on Google Play, and the UTM sources and campaigns that you and partners include in the URL tracking parameters of your third-party referrals. We've newly added custom store listings as a dimension as well. Once you've decided on a dimension, you can select up to 10 different values to plot in the charts below. For example, you might want to plot a few of your top search terms. Also, in response to your feedback, we've updated our grouping logic, so you should see more unique values for sparse dimensions, like search terms and UTM campaigns, and less things bundled into other. Finally, you can apply filters on one or a combination of dimensions to hone your analysis. Here, we'll limit search terms to just new users in the US or Canada to see how brand awareness is trending. Once you've configured the report, you'll see a time series view of store listing visitors, acquisitions, and conversion rate for your chosen dimension values. The URL is shareable, so your teammates can click to load the same configuration and see the same dataset. Coming soon, you'll be able to export data from here as well. At the bottom of the page, there's a summary table for your selected period, with a sum of daily visitors, acquisitions, and your app's weighted average conversion rate. In addition to the values you chose to plot at the top of the page, you'll see totals for other dimension values here as well, so you can see whether they're trending up or down, so you can decide whether they're worth digging into further. We've heard that comparing your app's performance to similar apps is really helpful for finding new opportunities, which is why we'll be launching expanded peer comparison benchmarks soon. These comparisons highlight where your app store listing is doing better than your peers and where you still have room for improvement, which is particularly useful when prioritizing which marketing strategies to employ next. We're happy to announce that we're extending peer comparison benchmarks in a number of ways. First, peer comparisons will be available for all traffic sources, including third-party referrals and your overall traffic. Second, peer comparisons will be available for more dimensions, including countries, languages, new users, returning users, or both. Third, peer comparisons will be compatible with filters. This means you could compare your search, explore, and referral performance when filtering to only new users in one particular country. We are also adding peer comparisons to the new charts, so you can monitor how they change over time. This can help you understand whether shifts have affected the whole ecosystem or are specific to your app and worth investigating. Last year, we introduced over 150 smaller curated groups of apps and games that you can choose from for more specific topics, and are continuing to update these over time. These are meant to be more relevant and actionable while still keeping your app's individual stats private. These are the same peer groups available on the statistics page, and they've been newly added to your Android vitals as well. Oftentimes, you'll find that your app is related to more than just one category. That's why we let you see peer comparisons for all of them. For example, if you have a fitness app, which also prominently features music, you could look at both category benchmarks. Visit the store settings page and grow store presence to learn more about what tags are available, and tell us which best describe your app's content so that we can give you better recommendations. There are several other Play Console tools that you can use to optimize your store listing based on the insights that you draw from the reports. If your app has a low conversion rate in certain languages, consider using Play Console's translation service or adding custom localizations to your store listing. Then, you can use the acquisition report's language dimension to see if your conversion rate improved. If your app has a large number of visitors in certain countries, consider creating a custom store listing where you can tailor your text, screenshots, and videos for different interests or holidays. Then, you can use the acquisition report's store listing dimension to measure how they're doing and decide if you want to make changes or add new targeting options. When you have an idea for a change, we encourage you to start with store listing experiments. The updated step-by-step flow lets you gradually configure changes to the assets that are seen here, and only test them on a subset of users who visit your store listing. You provide the assets, and we do the analysis for you. The results are updated every few hours, and you can opt in to email notifications to be alerted when we've seen enough to recommend a winner. You can wait to apply the changes to all users until you're confident that you'll see an improvement. There are some tips and tricks for making the most of SLE in the developer guide. You can find a link in the video description below. For games in particular, the most prominent assets are your icons, screenshots, and videos. So consider trying these first. To get the clearest results, test just a single asset at a time. If you adjust too many things at once, you won't know what actually drove the change in acquisitions. Test for at least one full week to include weekday and weekend performance. When you have a new version that seems to be working, promote that one to be your new store listing, but keep the original as a small experiment to ensure that the new one is still performing better. Finally, let's take a look at some of the other statistics pages that continue to be relevant for monitoring your acquisition. To complement the new acquisition reports, we'll soon be updating the user acquisition section of your app dashboard with more relevant store performance metrics, so you can get a quick pulse check on what's changed since you last logged in. You'll notice here that all charts react to any screen size, so you can monitor data on the go on mobile, or make the most of a large desktop to see complex data clearly. All charts are also using a refreshed color palette to improve readability and accessibility. Although we focus so far on store listing acquisitions, you can still view all of your app's acquisitions on the statistics page. This includes users whose app is pre-installed or downloaded peer-to-peer. We've made configuring your report a more intuitive and focused experience by placing advanced options behind an edit button. You can also save your report with a custom name, so you can quickly revisit it another time. You can share the URL of any report you've configured with teammates, even if it's not saved, and you can export the data directly from the UI. I hope this video helped you understand how the new acquisition reports can help you further your success with Google Play. And while you're trying it, don't forget these key new features. View new trends to monitor changes over time. Explore new dimensions like returning users. use filters to analyze across different dimensions. And coming soon, make more peer comparisons to decide where to optimize your store listing with Play Console tools. Give the new Play Console a try, and if you have any questions or feedback, please let us know. We hope that you found the session helpful. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe and healthy.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Tom. Thank you for joining us at the MENA Digital Day. I know your time is valuable. I really appreciate that you and the Google Play team joined us in the MENA region, the Middle East and North Africa, to talk about Google Play, Google Console. Those are very, very important topic.
Cool. I'm really happy to be here and ready to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you. So I have just a few questions that I gathered from developers in the region. That are really most of the time are common. So the first thing is we talked about the new console, and the question is how as you know, like if I'm a developer and I'm used to something old, I get attached to it emotionally. So if I still didn't move to the new ones, how long can I still use the old console?
Okay, so we haven't announced a date that we're going to turn the old console down, but it will be happening at some point. So I can say that you can continue to access the old console at least through to the end of October. I would, though, recommend that you and all of your team members start using the new console as early as possible. You can really easily do it just by visiting play.google.com/console. The reason we recommend this are a couple of things. I mean, the first is it always helps to get used to something new and to kind of try it out yourself. The second is there are some features in there that we've built to really help you and your team succeed. So everything from Policy Center, which gives you a really good overview of upcoming policy changes, through to Inbox, which gives you more information about stuff that you should really be thinking about and worrying about. And then obviously all of the fantastic new reports, as Ryan shared with everyone just now. These are all things you only find in the new console. And so we really recommend that everyone starts trying it as quickly as possible. You can always jump back to the old console every now and then if you need to. But as I said, the old console isn't going away for at least a month.
No, I agree with you. I love the new console. I love all the features that you have worked with your team on it. And one of the things that I looked is with regard to the acquisition reporting. I know that you made multiple changes. Can you talk a little bit why those changes were made?
Yeah, so I think everyone will have just seen Ryan give a really good overview about some of the key changes there. And sitting behind those changes that team decided to make was a huge amount of outreach and research that they did with developers all around the world. And they heard a number of really key things. So one of the first ones was that developers really wanted to understand trends and changes over time. It's the way that they would inspire their teams, it's the way they judge success, and it's the way that they would think about what the next set of things they're going to do is, especially when it comes to store listing experiments. The old acquisition reports didn't really enable that at all. The cohortized views kind of were fine for seeing snapshots, but really didn't give you a good impression over time. And so the new acquisition reports are really focused on trying to give that kind of view. We also looked at really expanding out some of the key new use cases. So similarly, you heard from Ryan around peer benchmarks and comparison data that we've expanded out, and more and better insights into what happens on the Play Store in areas like search, for instance. So that's really what sat behind it, was actually talking to developers and finding out what they really wanted from the reports.
Great. One last question. I hear about those keywords or buzzwords like Crash Analytic, Android, Vital. Can you a little bit tell us what are the difference between those two and what should I use? When should I use them?
So the short answer is that we see Android Vitals and Crashlytics as complementary products. So they do both do something similarly, and in fact, in some cases, actually share technology. So some of the stack traces you see, for instance, are shared. But in other cases, they do things much more differently and independently. So in the case of Vitals, for instance, if you go into the console, then you get information on ANRs. So these are application responding bugs. This is kind of when something runs to a halt on your phone and then the system says, like, we can't do anything else. In those cases, those types of bugs are highly visible to users. They can be really irritating, but Vitals is really well placed to give information about it, whereas that information is not currently available in Crashlytics. Similarly, Vitals gives really solid threshold anomaly detection, and also, again, those peer set comparisons. So Vitals allows you to construct custom peer sets, so you can compare the quality of your user experience to the quality of the experience offered by other different types of apps or competitors in your field. On the other hand, Crashlytics gives often much deeper stat traces when it does come to crashes that it reports, and also integrates with things like Google Analytics, so you can see the entire GA breadcrumb trace to follow an entire user journey up until a crash. As I said, they're giving different views to a similar set of problems, and if you use them together, then you actually get the best of both worlds, and you get the deepest visibility into the quality of experience that you're giving your users. And we know that that quality maps onto things that all developers really care about, whether that's propensity to buy, to uninstall, and even quality signals that influence store ranking as well. So we really recommend kind of using Vitals and other tools like Crashlytics to get them.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Google Play is always very near to my heart. I worked on the Google Play engineering team in Mountain View for a couple of years. I know how hard the Google Play team, the different teams work to serve and provide the support for our developer across the world. So maybe one last, advice that you could give to the Google or the developer in the region, in the Middle East, North Africa. What would be your last advice that say, hey, all of the changes we made, but what would be that advice for the developers?
So if I were giving advice about the console itself, my biggest piece of advice would be to enable as many of your team members as possible to access the console and use its tools. So we have overhauled user and access management to make it much more clear and easy to understand. And the reason we did that is we really want to encourage as many people as possible within everybody's teams to use our tools, because the tools are built specifically to help developers succeed. So if we're looking at just within the context of console, I'd say get all your team members on there, because there's something for almost everybody there to help them. And when I say almost everyone, I mean everyone from an exec through like PMs, lead engineers, QAs, people who are managing your relationships who reply to reviews, like everybody who contributes to the success of your apps. If I look more broadly, then my piece of advice for developers is often the same, which is to experiment, test, and innovate. Like Android as a global platform gives like phenomenal reach and opportunity to get to people all over the world. And the experiences that really resonate there are experiences where developers really are pushing the boundaries of the platform, of the capabilities of phones, and also just of the expectations about what Android can do, right? And so developers who really succeed are the ones who really are boundary pushing, who are experimenting, who are trying new things, and eventually who are really like sweating just giving amazing user experiences to people. I'm sure everyone in the region is already doing that, but I'd like really encourage people to like supercharge that innovation.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. With the word innovation, again, innovation is the solution for everything. So I want to thank Tom and the Google Play team. We have another session with regard to Android 11 modern development tomorrow with another engineer at 8 p.m. Dubai time. And then we have the final session at 9 p.m. on Thursday with regard to gaming. So thank you, Tom. I appreciate you dedicate time for our region, and we would love to see you. Thank you for everyone who attended on Twitter, on 70 Facebook pages, and also on our YouTube channel. I know, if you have a question, please go ahead and ask them. We'll follow up with them. And also, don't forget, there's a feedback survey that the Google Play team would like to get your feedback. Please complete that form. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. And bye, Tom. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody.